Hi and welcome back. We are going to start off with 123012 on page 165 of your code book. Now, it's pretty obvious. Boxes, cabinets, and fittings supports. Boxes, cabinets, and fittings shall be fastened securely in place. We don't want to leave our boxes just dangling there in midair. That's what sub-rule 1 talks about. The next rule, 123014, accessibility of junction boxes. Pull-in junction boxes and outlet boxes, cabinets and gutters, and joints and conductors and cables shall be accessible. That's pretty obvious. You can't take this junction box, put the splices within the junction box, put the cover plate on, and bury it in the wall. All junction boxes must be accessible. Sub-rule 2, a vertical space of 300 millimeters or more shall be required to provide ready access. So for those of you in dwelling units and you happen to go into the attic to make a splice, you've got to make sure that there's at least 900 millimeters of clearance between the top of the insulation and the ceiling. And that 900 millimeters is meant so you don't have to crawl into the attic on your stomach to get to that splice way at the back wall. So you want to have the splice where you can at least work on this stuff. Readily accessible, shall we say. (123016). Sub-rule 1 came in roughly about 2006, 2009, somewhere around there, where it talks about the front edges of boxes, cabinets, and fittings installed in walls and ceilings shall not be set in more than 6 millimeters from the finished surface, and where the walls and ceilings are of wood or other combustible material. What they're referring to is the box has to be right out at the front edge of the of your finishing. You can't have the box buried too far deeply within the wall. However, there's some examples I'm sure coming up that will explain that the notwithstanding rule. But otherwise, everything gets put out to the surface. Gaps and open spaces and plaster surfaces of walls or ceilings shall be filled in around the front edges of the boxes, cabinets, and fittings. Why do you think that's so important? To prevent any kind of fire to spread out and burn combustible material. Sub-rule 3, outlet boxes requiring wet location cover plates shall be installed in a manner that is intended to seal between the outlet box and the cover is ensured. So make sure that the weatherproof cover is actually properly installed. And once again, flush boxes, cabinets, and fittings shall be of the type suitable for the intended location of installation. You'd be surprised how many times I will see a pan box located on the outside of the house, and it'll just be mounted on the outside with a luminaire installed. And in actual fact, water can easily get into the backside of the luminaire, into the junction box, and then possibly cause short circuits. So if you're using something that's meant for outdoor use, use something that's approved for outdoor use, not dry location like a box like this. Okay, next we will get into 123020. Outlet boxes, etc. in damp locations. So once again, where boxes, cabinets, and fittings are installed in damp locations, they shall be placed or constructed so as to prevent moisture from entering or accumulating in them. So if you are working outdoors, make sure you use the proper box and make sure you use the proper connectors. Don't use anything for dry locations. And no, it does not count if this box is actually pointing down and you want to use a dry connector. You can't do that. If it's outdoors, you have to use outdoor rated equipment. Next rule, 12-3022. Where cables pass through the walls of boxes, cabinets, and fittings, provision shall be made to A. Protect the installation of the conductors from damage. What do you think that means? We use a connector. We actually use a connector. That's the rule we use to fail people when they just bring a conductor straight in here with no connector. We also want to protect the terminal connections from external strains. And you can read the rest of that rule. Let's see, sub-rule 3, is that new? Okay. Where non-metallic sheath cable or tray cable enters a box, cabinet, or fitting, a box connector, either as a separate device designed for use with such cable, or as part of the box, cabinet, or fitting, shall be used to secure the cable in place adequately and without damage to the conductor jacket or conductor insulation. So this rule here has been revised, just for your information. All right, next rule. Where's the mouse? Very important rule here. Shall I just leave this box here without any connector? So this rule right here, 12-30-24, talks about unused openings in boxes, cabinets, and fittings. So unused openings in boxes, cabinets, and fittings, wherever here, shall be effectively closed by plugs or plates, affording protection, suitability equivalent to that of the wall of the box, cabinet, or fitting. So that means we're installing these things called, I'll give you a hint, it starts with a K. Knockout filler. And no, a BX connector or a typical connector is not a knockout filler, and you cannot use anything but a properly approved knockout filler. 12-30-26. Extension from existing outlets. Where a surface extension is made from an existing outlet of concealed wiring, a box or extension ring shall be mounted over the original box and electrically and mechanically secured to it. So guess what? This box could be mounted flush with the stud or plate, whatever it happens to be, and you are allowed to extend out from this point out to the surface of the drywall. So this rule is telling you that you can install these things called extension rings to extend yourself out to the surface. Okay, so that pretty well does it for the 12-3000 section. You guys can read some of the other rules. Keep in mind, read Appendix B notes. Like I said, sometimes they will put questions from Appendix B notes into your test, so don't forget to read that stuff. Anyway, thanks for watching. Have a good day.